They told me the house was empty. But at 3 a.m., the walls started breathing. It wasn't a ghost in the basement. It was a version of me that never left. A version that has been waiting for 40 years in the dark, listening to my footsteps from beneath the floorboards, waiting for the moment I finally opened the door. I descended the stairs, each creak sounding like a scream in the silence. The air grew cold, smelling of ancient dust and forgotten memories. I found a mirror in the corner, but my reflection didn't move when I did. It just stood there, staring with hollow eyes. It wasn't me anymore. It was the echo of what I was supposed to become. The basement wasn't a room. It was a trap for time itself. Deep in the shadows, I found the tapes. Hundreds of them, labeled with my name and dates that hadn't happened yet. I played one. It was my voice, screaming about a shadow that had no owner, a shadow that was currently creeping up my legs. I realized then that I wasn't the first version of myself to find this place, and I certainly wouldn't be the last. Each of us is just another tape in the dark. The shadow consumed the light. I couldn't scream because the voice in the basement was already screaming for me. I saw the faces of the others, those who came before. They were just echoes now, floating in the cold, damp air. They weren't ghosts. They were deleted files of a life that was rewritten over and over. And now, the pen was moving towards my name. The door above slammed shut, locked from the outside by my own hands. I looked up and saw myself staring down through the small window, smiling. He has my face, my voice, my life. And I am left here, in the silence of the basement, waiting for the next version of me to wake up at 3 a.m. Don't open the door. Don't listen to the voice, because once you hear it, you are. The door above slammed. I tried to find the fuse box, but the basement layout had changed. The stairs I just came down were gone. In their place was a hallway that seemed to stretch forever. On the walls, I saw photographs of people I didn't know, but all of them were wearing my clothes. Every photo was taken in this very basement. Some were dated 100 years ago. Others were dated tomorrow. I was looking at a museum of my own disappearance. Then the whispering started again. But it wasn't coming from the darkness ahead. It was coming from inside my own pocket. I reached in and pulled out my phone. It was recording. I pressed play and heard my own voice from 3 minutes into the future. It said, "Whatever you do, don't look at the ceiling naturally." I looked up. There were no beams, no floorboards. Just a vast, churning sea of shadows and 1,000 eyes staring back at me. The eyes didn't blink. They were like holes in the fabric of reality. I began to realize that this basement was the original source. This is where time is manufactured and where it goes to die. I found a door marked archives. Inside were jars filled with static electricity. Each one contained a memory. I touched one, and for a second, I lived a whole life in a house made of glass, only to be shattered by a voice that sounded exactly like mine. I was losing my identity, one echo at a time. I ran until my lungs burned and the flashlight began to flicker. The walls were now made of old, damp paper, thousands of missing person posters. Every single one had my face. Every single one was from a different city, a different year. The basement was absorbing me, rewriting my history across the world. I wasn't just a man in a house anymore. I was a glitch in the system, a ghost that hadn't even died yet. I could feel my skin. I ran. I ran until my lungs burned and the flashlight. I found a telephone on a pedestal. It was ringing. I picked it up, and a voice calm, cold, and undeniably mine told me the exit was only 10 steps away. But the voice also said that once I left, I would never be able to speak again. I would be the silent one, and the thing in the basement would take my place in the world above. It offered me a choice, stay and remember, or leave and forget. But as I looked at my hands, I saw they were already starting to disappear. The choice had already been made for me. I took the 10 steps. Each step felt like a century passing. By the 10th step, I was standing in my own kitchen. The sun was rising. Everything looked normal. I tried to say I'm safe, but no sound came out. My throat was empty. I walked to the window and looked out. There, in the garden, was me. The version of me that had just woken up. He looked at me, confused, then turned and headed toward the basement door. I tried to scream to stop him, but I only produced a faint, gravelly whisper. The same whisper I had heard at 3 a.m. I realized the horrible truth. I wasn't the man who heard the voice. I was the voice. I was the one who had been trapped for 40 years, waiting for this moment to switch places. And now, as I watched my younger self disappear into the darkness of the basement, I felt a cold smile spread across my face. I picked up his car keys, his wallet, and his life. I am finally free. But as I walked to the front door, I heard it. A faint scratching from beneath the floorboards, a new echo, a new victim. The cycle begins again, and next time, it might be you.